Since 2003, this is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
The Sports Source is presented by Junk Be Gone, Pipe Wrench, and the Garza Law Firm.
The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios for today's edition of the Sports Source. It's been a wild week on Rocky Top. Vols make a heroic comeback after trailing the whole game against Texas A&M, knock off the Aggies. Then they lead the whole game, make an unheroic crash and burn against Kentucky. We'll talk about yesterday's game. We'll talk about the portal who Tennessee has added. They had a splashy day yesterday. Whether those are filling needs or guys you're going to be excited about, we got Ryan Callahan here to talk about that. So we'll get into who has arrived, who has left, all that. And then, of course, the big story this week, Danny White coming out and saying that other schools are cheating in the NIL sphere. We will discuss that as well. Let's get into it. Our first segment today brought to you by our friends at Junk Be Gone. The new year has begun, but I bet you still have a lot of old stuff in your home, stuff that needs to go. Face it. We all hang on to a lot of stuff longer than we should. Junk Be Gone and their crews can haul some of that stuff away from you. And if you like, they can even move it right out of your home or yard for you to where you don't even have to load up the dumpster. They load it up and then they carry it off. It's easy. It's cost efficient. It's the best you can do. junkbegone.biz to learn more. I've used them many times. We'll be using them again soon. All right. Use these guys an awful lot. We'll be using them again soon. We have right over here Josh Ward from 99.1 The Sports Animal. Same with Tyler Ivins. Thank you guys for being here. Former D1 basketball player, former Vol assistant coach Mark Pancrat's right here. Mark, thanks for being here. And Chuck Cavaliers, who's been a part of this show for, 1,005 years since we started it back in 2003. All right, on Tuesday, Tennessee, as I said, they trailed nearly all of regulation against Texas A&M, and they come back, tie it up, get it to overtime, and then kind of win that thing. Nate Ament looks like he's turned a corner. That was his best performance. So you go into Kentucky, man, it looks like it's carrying over. Mm-hmm. You got the big lead. You lead by as many as 17 points. And then the second half happened. And for some reason, you gave up on the offensive glass, and Kentucky started owning it. So they got all kinds of second opportunities, second chance points. And from there, it went south. The Vols lose 80-78. Basically, you saw college basketball two different angles in the same week. So the idea that you can't blow a lead like that, yeah, you can, and you can come back from a lead like that. You got a shot clock and a three-point play. It's not the same as it used to be. Mark, talk to me about what went wrong in that second half for Tennessee.
I think there's a lot of things that we could point out.
How much time you got?
You didn't mention the turnovers. Our biggest issue, we've talked about it all year, is guard play. And we don't have another guard besides Jacoby. Yep. I know Jacoby had some really bad turnovers late in that game. We don't have another guard that can handle the ball, that can make plays. Look at these better teams. They got guys that can drive it and go make a play. We don't have another guy like that. And so we struggle there. You talk about offensive rebound. Where that offensive rebound started to happen, I think, is Jacoby looked tired. Our ball screen defense was poor. So all of a sudden, we've got poor matchups, and they're attacking us downhill. We're scrambling, trying to get out the shooters. They missed some shots, and now we got guys boxing out that aren't as good, boxing out their better players. So we give up a lot of offensive rebounds. But that game is a winnable game. You don't lose to Kentucky in that place. And the way that you just handed that game away to them, that's frustrating. That one's going to come back and bite us.
Chuck, you weren't scheduled for today, and I got a text for it from you. You could hear the horn still echoing, and the text comes in from Chuck. You were hot, so I said, come on in.
Well, the one word was inexcusable. We've seen teams lose like this on the road, right, because of either miscommunication, and I'm talking about what happened at the end. But to make that pass, and at the end, Jacoby said he thought he was open. He thought the pass was there. Had no chance. And then to compound it with the foul to make it a three-point play. I mean, and the 13-8, Kentucky had a 13-8 advantage offensive rebounds. The second half, they consistently got it to the rim. I went back and watched the last 8 minutes again, John, and it was just Tennessee missed free throws, turnovers, and you can't finish at the rim. That's the story of the game, man.
Gentlemen, Chuck says inexcusable. Tyler, are you going there?
Inexcusable. That's a game that you absolutely have to have, especially when it comes to net rankings and some of the things that are going to add up at the end of the season. This is a Tennessee basketball team who right now they can't rebound off mistakes. They can deliver a lot of blows, but the second somebody hands them a haymaker, they've got difficulties getting off the mat. I went back and I was doing a little digging. They even took us all the way back to Vegas. And there was that big stretch there at the end of that game against Houston. You hit 8 consecutive free throws. And what has happened since then? I've only knocked it down to the net 80 teams that you're going to see in the tournament. This is a Tennessee basketball team right now against the good of the good that's only hitting 65% of their free throws right now. They're leaving on average about 9 points on the floor, and their games and these differentials in the top 80 matchups are 10 points. The point is this: you're going to keep facing teams that are as good as what you saw yesterday. If you're not hitting your free throws and distancing yourself and keeping yourself at a distance, they're going to come back, and this won't be the only time Tennessee loses a brutal game like this.
Yeah, pick what frustrates you the most. You got a platter to choose from here. You could have it as simple as, hey, you've got a big lead at home against a rival that you love to beat in Kentucky, and Tennessee was in prime position not just to win the game, but to win big with that 17-point lead. And this is a Kentucky team that's had a very frustrating season. And this is a chance to kind of knock them out and send their season the wrong way. Instead, for the second time this week, Kentucky comes back. Maybe they pick up a little momentum while you're left scratching your head saying, where do we go from here? So if I were to choose what frustrates you the most, it's a continuation of teams are able to attack. And while Tennessee can be really good defensively, they're not good enough consistently. And in that second half, drive the basketball. Kentucky did what it wanted to 49 points in a second half comeback.
Now, to be fair, Tyler put this on Twitter, I believe, that if you look by the clock, Tennessee led for 99% of that game.
98.8, I just rounded it up.
Yeah, so Vol fans should be happy. They played winning basketball for 98% of the game. Mark, what's the next step? I mean, at some point, we're going to talk a little bit this in the next segment too, but what if you're Rick Barnes right now? What are you doing? You've kind of thrown everything out there. He played 4 freshmen yesterday, which I don't think he intended to be doing 2 months ago. If you told him you're going to be this deep into January and you're going to be playing 4 freshmen out there, I don't know how much he'd have been on board with that. It's got to be frustrating for him. Is there a fix here? Is there one that usually you focus on, okay, let's get back to defense. Our defense will carry us. Yesterday, even that doesn't work for you. So where do you go from here as a staff? You've had teams where it's like, okay, nothing seems to be working. What are you thinking as a staff member right now?
Yeah, and some of it you look at, we didn't even talk about Jalen Carey. I mean, Jalen Carey had a lot of bunnies at the rim and, just didn't make them, couldn't score over a length. So some of the things that they're doing are working. But defensively, you're going to have to find ways to use timeouts, get rotation to keep Jacoby more fresh. Offensively, I think our space. We won that game against Texas A&M. I was on Tyler's show on Wednesday. We talked about it. We won that game against Texas A&M, but our offense was really poor down the stretch. We didn't. Our ball screen, we got bad shots, but we bailed ourselves out because of offensive rebound. So I look at our offense. We got to play more in space. We got to be able to attack the rim, and then we got to create those angles for post-up players to catch and shoot.
But the last 3 games, I think you've kind of see how you'd defeat the University of Tennessee. Down in Gainesville, take Gillespie out of the game, somebody else score. Okay. Texas A&M, take Gillespie out of the game, Ahmed emerges. Late in the game against Kentucky, you need a bucket, take Gillespie out of the game. Or he'll take himself out of the game. The last 3 games, whether home or road, it's been so it's knee-jerking.
And there's, if you look, I took a picture of it, of a screenshot on the TV when Jacoby drove it. I mean, all 5 guys sunk to the paint.
Yep.
And because they don't have the guys that can spray it out to knock down perimeter jump shots consistently, and that's where we get that's where our biggest challenge is.
2 quick points. When Tennessee's up 41-24 and Kentucky makes score 7 straight, what happened? Gillespie picked up his 2nd foul, correct?
You lost Gillespie and Bishop there.
He wasn't on the floor.
Yep.
So that shows how important he is. Maybe you don't take him out 2nd foul. Here's the last thing I'd say. Jalen Carey, I don't think he's a back-to-the-bucket guy. He's 3 of 12 from the field. How many free throws does he attempt? With all those shots at the rim, 0. You can't have that out of a guy. He needs to be facing the basket. That's Tennessee's last field goal. With 5.5 minutes to go, Jalen Carey going in.
Jalen Carey needs to have his back to the basket. I mean, but he's got to work harder to create an angle so that way he can just create the angle, use his body, and score over the top.
He can't finish.
Well,
Chuck's bringing the anger.
And
right now, everybody's cheering Chuck. They're booing you and your answers.
That's
we
all
don't
right.
want answers. No. Okay, tell you what, we'll come back and get some more answers. I want to talk about this Tennessee team in terms of Have we seen what they are? Is it time to stop sitting there and saying, no, they're going to turn a corner? Is there no corner to be turned? Is it time to say, I'm out? That's next. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Cultured stone, Nudura concrete forms, all kinds of cutting-edge building materials they carry at A.G. Hines Company. Energy-efficient materials. And A.G. Hines Company, they have them and they know how to use them and they know which ones you need for your project. If you're starting a building project of any sort, whether it's a do-it-yourself around the house, whether you've got a construction company, start with A.G. Hines Company. Get in touch with Gordon Hines and his team, the whole family. They've been doing it for 4 generations. AGHines.com, located downtown Knoxville. And if you're watching in East Tennessee, Upper East Tennessee, they're also in Bluntville. All right. Mark, I'm not going to start with you. I'm going to start with these guys. Sorry, hold on. Let me ask you guys, is it time to say, okay, we've seen what this team is. They're inconsistent. They're not going to turn a corner. This is just who they are. There are people out there who are ready to say that, and I think it's fair. Would you say that at this point? Are you saying we've seen what they are? Rick Barnes yesterday after the game said, we are who we are. Specifically, he was like, if we did what we need to do, we could be a much better team right now, but we're not doing it, so we are who we are.
Usually this is where I would say, no. There's still too much game left. There's still too much season left. No, I think we know who they are. The telling quote from Rick yesterday was, if we still had Jemai Mashak and Zakai Ziegler on this team, we don't blow that lead yesterday. We've got more scoring with this roster, but when it comes to making sure these games don't slip, Jemai and Zakai would not have let that happen. If we're already talking about living in the past or what could have beens and should have beens and but-ums, yeah, I kind of already have a feeling I know what this team's going to look like the rest of the way.
Yeah, like think about the Alabama game last year. Not the buzzer beater, but all the plays Jemai made leading up to that opportunity. They're making the opposite of those plays in that game. Rick Barnes said it for a reason. Tennessee has been who they've been so far to this point, and it may just play out this way. I would not expect a major turnaround to where you're talking about the team producing the same results as the last couple of seasons. If you're holding out hope, then I think you're hoping that Nate Ament will not be who he has been. Rick Barnes does continue to talk positively about Nate. Part of that has to be because if we're talking about playmakers, Mark's talking about Jacoby Gillespie, he's been their one go-to scorer, guy making plays offensively to put the ball in the basket. Well, the other guy we know that's capable of that in terms of his ability, he's still an expected lottery pick in a few months. Yeah. Something has to come from Nate Ament. They paid him a ton of money. They brought him in to be that guy, and so whether it's forcing the issue, however it gets done, Nate's the one guy that you would point to say you got to get a lot more from him on the offensive side.
And you started to see the first visions of that against A&M.
Yes.
Where you watch that game and it's like, oh, he's the best guy on the floor. There's no question he's the best guy on the floor. In terms, well, for me, you have a different eye. You might have said, no, he's the fourth guy. But for me, I'm looking at it thinking that's the guy that's got the future. And then you ask, you wonder, is this going to continue from here, or is it going to continue to do kind of the up and down thing like the stock market?
The ladder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's completely fair to say we've seen what this team is. We know what they are. Mm-hmm. I'm just not going to go there yet because it's college basketball. How many times have we sat in here in February and Tennessee is wobbling, and then they go on some 8-game win streak? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, how many times have we said, oh my gosh, they could be a 1 seed, and they go on a 4-game losing streak? That's just college basketball. So I think you guys are right. I think they are going to be inconsistent, but because basketball is what basketball is, I'm not going to throw in the towel yet.
Yeah.
The only part of this quickly, February's schedule and conference play compared to January's is night and day difference.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah, I do think the NCAA tournament, we don't remember the record. We remember how far they go in the NCAA tournament.
Sure.
So to your point, I do think they could still have a run that people get excited about. 2 things. One, the response of how they came out of halftime tells me a lot. Jacoby's out, Boswell's out. They pulled back the lead to about 11, and I thought we'd come out and Barnes would lay into them like, hey, we didn't finish it strong, and they would come out guns a-blazing, and we didn't do it. My question is do we have the winner's mentality, those little things to be able to win a lot of these close games? And then the second part about Nate, the reality is going into the SEC play, everybody's been saying, hey, you got to be physical with Tennessee because they're the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country. And so the whole scouting report is to match or exceed Tennessee's physicality. Yeah. If we continue to play through Nate Ament, does he have the physicality to be able to withstand an SEC schedule and to be able to get 15 shots? Part of the reason why Jacoby made that turnover is because the screen was soft. Nate Ament's cut was soft. And teams are just busting stuff up with physicality. And I don't know if Nate, he's got to be the guy for us to have the ceiling. I just don't know if he has the physicality to maintain that throughout an SEC season.
We've also talked about this in the past, in previous years, that, okay, you've got this guy and this guy, but what else have you got? Even in those years where we've said, what else have you got? I think you had more than you do this year.
JP's gone. What happened to JP? We were all sitting here the first month of the season saying JP's got to be the third scorer.
He's going to be the third guy.
He's playing, I don't know how many minutes, but it's not many
He
minutes.
may still be hurt. I don't know.
He's averaging 8
Here's
minutes.
one-
If you're hurt, then you're not playing 8 minutes. If you're hurt, you're not playing at all.
Or limited. Well, here's one thing I've noticed. You had 11 Tennessee players get on the court yesterday against Kentucky, right? How many of them had worn a Tennessee uniform against
But that's
Kentucky?
college basketball now.
Well,
You know what I mean?
But, still, but again, how many of those?
That's one guy.
Some of these teams, though, that do that have 5 top 25 freshmen. You don't. You got Nate Ament. So I don't know if some of your other freshmen, like what Calipari used to do at Kentucky was, yes, it's all freshmen out there, but it's the number 1 player in the country, the number 3 player in the country, number 8 player in the country. That's not what Rick Barnes has.
But Rick's got Abram, juniors and seniors that have transferred in. So you would think they would have the physicality to be
He's
able
got seasoned
to.
vets from other schools.
I just went into this season, and I said it, and my feeling was this is the first year where he's going to fully have to go into this system. Where it's not, he's brought in people before, he's rebuilt his team, but he always had either 4 guys or 2 guys who had been part of the program.
Exactly.
And this year, you don't have any of those leaders who were part of it, and I just think it's taking longer.
We had that one veteran guy.
Yeah.
That one
Well, that's
veteran
what-
guy would have made a difference.
How many of the starting lineups are consistent from last year?
In SEC, very few.
Maybe Akpara, the spot starts that he had last year, but your starting 5 that had how many average starts last year with this Tennessee team last year? We've reached a point in time where you got to ask yourself, are they getting used to seeing each other in the starting 5? Even if when you lose Cade Phillips at the beginning of the season, there's still a little bit of newness and freshness that eventually the new car smell goes away, and it says you all have got to get on the same page.
And I'm not arguing. We get into this just about every week, it seems. You're like, that's what college basketball is. And I agree with you. That is. We just haven't seen this guy do this yet in this system, in my opinion.
And the Zakai thing, that's every team. If every team had their best 2 defensive players or 2 of their starters back, they would be saying, man, we'd be a lot better if we had those guys.
Florida's got some bigs back, don't they?
How many teams, though, have had a guy like this guy Ziegler who was starting for 4 straight
Oh,
years?
100%.
It just doesn't happen anymore.
Coach on the floor, we don't have
It
that.
doesn't happen anymore. All right. Mark, thanks for coming in here. I appreciate it. If it weren't for Danny White and his claims of cheating, you'd have another segment. But we got to get it. We got to get into Danny White. We'll talk about other schools cheating, and Tennessee being good and clean and honest and nice and all that's right with the world. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground. You got your getaway plans for spring break or Memorial Day already on the books? Are you ready for your summer vacation? If not, then you need to get going. And the way to get going is enjoy the great outdoors and book a spot now, right now, at rivercovecampground.com. Just minutes from all of Sevier County's top tourist attractions, but nestled on the Little Pigeon River. So if you want nature and you don't want the hubbub, you got it. If you want the hubbub and a little nature, you got that too. Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground, the place. If you're an outdoors person, outdoorsman, outdoorswoman, get to rivercovecampground.com today. All right, I want to welcome in the next 2 members of our panel right here. Ryan Callahan from GoVols247.com, and right there Bob Hodge, who, like Chuck and myself, have been around since the show first started.
Last Ice Age.
When we all had dark, well, you didn't have dark hair, but it was blonde. Right. I had dark hair. Chuck still got dark hair somehow. All right. We got a poll question for you today. We got a poll question. Why is Tennessee not cheating like other schools? We're about to jump into this. But your options are White won't let them, Heupel doesn't want to cheat, or they're on probation, meaning you're not going to knock over a liquor store if there are cops outside. So we'll let you vote. Take your smartphone, point it at that little squiggly circle there underneath the Hearthside Bank logo, and tell us what you think. What is the reason why Tennessee is not cheating like other schools? They're not doing business as business is being done. Is it because Danny White won't let them? Is it because Josh Heupel, he's Gus Goodsport, he's not going to do that? Or is it because they're on probation, they're being watched? You tell us.
You left off the fourth choice. They are cheating, and Danny White just doesn't want it to sound like it.
All right,
They're not very good at it.
Yeah, they're not. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Wow. All right, last week didn't start great for the Vols on the transfer portal way in terms of quarterbacks anyway. Fans started grumbling, so Danny White came out and said the following to Knox News. There are schools that don't intend to submit NIL deals through the NIL clearinghouse, and I think that's a low-integrity move. It's akin to paying players under the table in the old world. If we're going to have rules, then people need to follow them, and if they don't, there needs to be penalties. Okay, just a brief break for irony here. Don't forget, Tennessee was hammered over the Jeremy Pruitt thing, so they were on probation. And they kept saying, they were one of the many schools saying, give us guidelines on the NIL, give us rules on the NIL, even though they had pushed the boundaries pretty good on guys, more than anybody else. The NCAA came out and said, okay, here are your rules and guidelines, and you've been breaking them. And the state of Tennessee and UT sued the NCAA and said, who are you to give us rules and try to enforce them? End of the irony. Let's go back to what Danny White had to say. We need enforcement and accountability if that cheating is happening, and I believe that it is. There are two sides to it. Are you planning on just cheating and never submitting it to the clearinghouse? If so, there needs to be penalties for that. Otherwise, why do we even have rules? Because if we want to go that route, then my goal will be to become the New York Yankees of college sports. We can do that at Tennessee. There are two components to consider in how much you can invest in your rosters. One is how much money you have, and that has not been a restricting consideration for us. The second is it the right color of money? We are not going to break a rule. We are going to follow the rules of engagement of the new settlement terms. So I think we're resourced enough that we're going to achieve our expectations of winning championships without breaking rules. We want to dominate college sports, but I don't think we're dominating it if we create the next big scandal around here. We're still under NCAA probation from the last one. We need to win with integrity, and that's what I said when I got here. That's exactly what we're going to do. That doesn't mean we're not going to win as much. We can win without breaking the rules. And finally, I think Josh Heupel and his staff are doing great when you look at our incoming high school class and where we'll land in the portal. Those two things combined will be one of the top roster acquisition efforts in the country. We obviously need a lot of help on defense, and I think they've been really smart in that area, but I know what others are doing. I'm not going to share publicly what our strategy is for competitive reasons, but I have all the confidence in the world that our investments in our rosters set up all 20 of our sports to make championships sustainable. Okay, Bob, you saw the poll. I'll ask you, maybe Danny White and Josh Heupel are just good, clean guys.
I will go no.
Maybe we've hired, maybe Tennessee has hired the cleanest of the clean. Or maybe they're on probation. So therefore, we can't push we said this on the Saturday show. I said this on your show a couple of weeks ago. Yes. I said it on the Saturday show. Said it on the Sunday show. Did a quarterback thing on the Sports Source Digital Network this week where I said it. Josh Heupel wasn't one of those guys jumping in and tampering. Well, could that be the NCAA is watching you and they're not watching others because you're on probation? My take, Bob? They're on probation. That's why they're having to call out others because we can't play like everybody else right now. Do you agree with me, or do you think they're just Mr. Clean?
A little personal story from my life. There was a period where I collected speeding tickets, and so I got a nice letter from the state, one more ticket, and you lose your license. I would go down the road, and little old ladies were going faster than me walking than I was driving. So, yeah, I was very much aware of the problem that I would get in. I think Tennessee's very much aware of the problem they could have. And now there are people out there who are ready to throw lawyers at this. We're going to play the game just like everybody else does. The problem with that is you may lose. And to me, even if you had a 70-30 chance of winning or better, you still don't go down that road when you know, as you said, the cops are watching. So I think Tennessee, if they could have business as normal, it would be. But they're in a position to where, I mean, you're still recovering scholarships.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan, I think you may have a little different view than I do.
I don't know. I'm not sure that Josh Heupel is the type of guy who would bend the rules more if Danny White said, who cares about this stuff. I also don't know that anyone's really afraid of the NCAA right now. That's the only thing I wonder about is
it's an awfully big dice roll when you're facing potentially. Nobody's going to do it again, but you're facing the death penalty.
It is, but the other part of this is if you know everyone's doing it, do you feel that unsafe doing it yourself? I mean, if everyone's out there doing these third-party deals and everything, are you afraid you're going to get your hand slapped? I don't know.
I'll put it this way. If everybody was walking out of Target with stuff, but somebody said, okay, there's 100 people, one of you is going to get shot, I don't need the free TV that much.
Well, here's the thing. Part of that may have already been answered. They went out and did the NIL and everything,
Yeah.
and they had to sue their way out of it.
Yeah.
That's when they said, enforcement, we don't need enforcement. Who are you to put rules on us?
Yeah.
So, I think they may be concerned. Everybody's doing it. Again, if they weren't on probation, I think they'd be right in there doing it. You would have been better off in the portal. You'd have been tampering all over the place, and you wouldn't hear Danny White talking about other schools cheating. I think it's the probation.
And to your point about that, because of what happened in that deal where they had to sue their way out of it, maybe they think the NCAA's got it out for us because if we do this, we may be the one they make an example.
I would, wouldn't you?
I'd think about it. I mean, but
you basically threw up double birds in my face. So I'm sitting there going,
but there've been Miami.
You're on the clock, pals. I'm going to get you.
Miami and some others have been kind of the faces of NIL too, and they haven't been targeted as much maybe yet. So I mean, there's still some other programs doing it that haven't been totally slapped on the wrist.
Is Miami currently on probation for massive cheating scandal under Jeremy Pruitt?
That's all fair. Yeah.
That's the thing that changes it. I saw somebody on YouTube making a big deal. Who cares? Do what everybody else is doing. And I'm sitting there going, everybody else isn't on probation. You can keep saying that. Do you not know what's going on? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's the probation? Do you think that these are clean guys? Do you think there's something do you agree with Ryan that who cares about the probation?
I think the probation is the massive black cloud still hanging over Tennessee to not go completely full bore on this. But I also believe that everybody's tampering. Everybody cheats. It's just how far do you shove all in on your tampering and your cheating?
Or do you allow your collective to do the tampering for you and the head coach isn't making those calls, which is what the claim has been here.
Jeremy Pruitt had to have his thumb in everything and even be the bad guy in a couple of situations. That's why Tennessee's in the position that they're in right now. Other people are smart enough to let other people like the collective be able to handle it. One of the things that Danny said that I found very interesting was they're promising other schools, not naming them, but saying some other schools are promising large amounts of money that they're never going to be able to fulfill. Jordan Addison never got his share at USC. Livy Dunn never got her share. Schools do this all the time where they go, X amount of dollars, blank check, fill it out, we'll pay the rest, and they only get 10, 20% recouped. That's a little bit of a problem. But if these students are dumb enough to believe, I'm going to get this huge, loud sack of money when it's all said and done, that's on them.
Josh, your thoughts on all this?
So most of what Danny White said there, I think, are good points in terms of, hey, if we're going to have rules here, if we're trying to find structure, don't they need to be followed? Doesn't there have to be some kind of penalty if they're obviously broken? But that's the ideal world. We're talking about the college football world. We're talking about the world of college sports. I also don't think the timing is great because there was also a pretty big story in college football this week of Ty Simpson, who I don't recall ever entering the transfer portal, talking about Tennessee being one of the schools that was offering him
$4 million.
A certain amount of money. Yeah. Well, how did that conversation take place? Is that following
Spire Sports.
The rules? Yeah. So again, I think it comes back to what's ideal and what's realistic. And I would be, if I'm Danny White or I'm somebody at Tennessee, I'm frustrated by seeing the success and maybe how Texas Tech is going about it, or Miami, or Lane Kiffin at LSU. I'd be very frustrated by it, but I would also say, okay, well, are you going to compete with them and try to beat them out for the best players? Because that's the ultimate goal, have the best roster available to go compete with them on the field. Because if you don't, the fans aren't going to read the quotes about integrity as much. They're going to look at the scoreboard and be frustrated by not winning as many games as they expect when they are spending the money and they're seeing these revenue numbers where they are, which I think is also part of the challenge with the timing.
And we are way over, so we're going to have to get out of this one. We've got more coming up in terms of, let's go to my camera here. Let's just go to break. We've jumped the gun on the tee, so when we come back, we'll do something else. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. We are way over this segment of our show. It's brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control since 1971. They've been protecting East Tennessee homes and businesses. Folks, if you don't want insects and pests in your business, in your home, call these folks. They're who I use. You should too. They're great. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. Okay, the Vols have brought in 16 players through the portal already. We're going to get into quarterbacks a little bit later, and there is somebody new on the list in terms of visiting, so we'll get to that. Let's run through some of these guys that are incoming. Tennessee had a flurry yesterday. All right, you knew about Chaz Cole. You knew about the Penn State guy. So luckily you hired Jim Knowles, who brought 2 assistants with him, and then they brought 4 players from Penn State. You got to wonder, if they didn't hire Jim Knowles, would you have those 4 guys there, including 5-star Chaz Coleman, Xavier Gillum, 4-star, and then the other 2 3-stars. You knew about Kayan Lee coming in from Auburn. The new guys this week, the Metcalf brothers from Michigan. Ryan, tell us about those defensive backs.
Yeah, good pickup there in TJ Metcalf. Now, Tevis Metcalf, who committed yesterday, a little more of just a depth guy, just played a few games this year at Michigan, was at Arkansas before, but his older brother TJ started all 12 games for Michigan this season, 6 at safety, 6 at the nickel position, so that's a guy that I think Tennessee obviously sees as a day one starter. Probably at the safety position, it sounds like, but he does have that versatility to play nickel as well, so nice pickup there, and they've obviously remade the safety position quite a bit already.
There's a whole lot of safeties. There's some depth questions elsewhere on the roster.
Yeah.
Safety is not a place where they have depth issues anymore from looking at all the people they're bringing in. Let's go ahead and look at another one. You saw 3 safeties listed there on that last list. Let's look at the next one if we could. All right, we're racing along here. You got another safety down there in DJ Burks who just got on board yesterday. Ori Williams from LSU, offensive tackle. Donovan Haslam's a new one. Big guy. Don't know if it's going to be big name-wise, but in terms of big body, Ryan, tell us about Donovan Haslam.
Yeah, 6'3", 346 pounds is what he was listed at West Virginia, and you had him listed there as offensive tackle. He's probably going to be an interior guy for Tennessee, but either way.
That's what it was listed.
Yeah.
Take it up with 24/7 Sports.
I'm sure we did that at some point.
Where I get
but yeah, he'll be a guard most likely, but a depth guy. You're basically looking at a guy that can compete for one of the guard spots there, which should be open this year with some pieces moving around. But yeah, you've got you need a depth option there at least. You got another body there, and quite possibly at least a starting right tackle in Ori Williams. So a couple nice pickups there on the offensive line.
Which would mean Perry to guard.
Perry to guard if everything goes according to plan. But again, Ori Williams still has to win that job.
Right. So if it goes to plan, you're looking at Sanders now on the left, Moy is back, Pendleton at center, and then Haslam right guard, and then Perry
right guard. And then so Haslam, the
right
guy
tackle.
looking to beat out one of those guys. Maybe at the guard spot.
And then your other tackle is Ori Williams, in theory. Okay. Very good. Let's go back to the Tulane guys. We got 2 Tulane players next. Jordan Newman, edge rusher, and Javen Gordon, running back from Tulane. You needed a third running back after Peyton Lewis left. So Javen Gordon will either be the number 2 or number 3. I'm sure they promised him he could compete along with DeJuan Morris for that number 2 spot. Trent Thomas, you needed a tight end after Jack Van Dorselaar took off. Van Dorselaar. He took off, so you got this guy in from South Alabama. He's one of the guys that committed yesterday. And Blake Howard, I know everybody's excited. A long snapper from Eastern Kentucky committed yesterday. So tell me this. Oh, go ahead.
Howard was last week, but we added him to the list yesterday.
I didn't see that. Okay.
Sorry. So yeah, no, it's all right. We were
Just
behind.
Keep correcting me. That's fine.
No, sorry. We were behind on getting our list updated, so we just added him yesterday to our system.
Well, when I saw it, I did cartwheels.
Yeah.
Wow! Long snapper for EKU. So here's my question for you guys: are these depth pieces? I mean, do you feel they filled their needs? Defensively, it looks like they've done what they needed to do. Offensively, I don't see anything that makes me go, wow. It just looks like we need some bodies. We lost some guys that are bodies. Let's put some other bodies in here. Am I interpreting that correctly or no? How do you look at it? Do you see?
I think everybody's looking at that list going, great, you're going to add to the depth chart for the 20-some-odd plus that left. Here are some great defensive players for Jim Knowles. Where's the quarterback? Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, the Penn State guys are going to play. Most of them, if not all of them, are going to start. We knew they had to redo the safety position. They've done that. And then others, they're not going to contribute, or they'll have limited contributions. But that's the way this cycle works, is a whole new makeover.
Bob, you dancing in the aisles over this one?
No, but I'm going to give Tennessee credit for what they've done in the past in the portal. So who knows? Maybe somebody that you look at and say, no, okay, he's just going to be depth. Yeah. Turns out to be a pretty good football player.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. Everybody said you got to do more in the portal, They have traditionally done 7 or 8. That's it. They got 16 right now, and there's probably more to come. Yeah. When we come back, let's talk more about who could be the next people on that list. And we've still got quarterbacks to discuss and a lot more other things when we come back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. Madisonville Marine, folks. They've been with us for many, many years here on the show, and they've been with us in East Tennessee for 50 years. 50 years in business, and people have been going there from all over the South because their selection is fantastic, their prices are great, their customer service is tremendous, and their service department is excellent. There's no better place to buy a boat than Madisonville Marine, including rebates right now available up to $5,000 on select models of Godfrey pontoon boats, Suncatcher pontoon boats, Hurricane deck boats, Skeeter bass boats. Up to $5,000 back on select models. That's a lot of dealing. madmarine.com to learn more. All right. We're back on time. That's good. So that means we got a little time to let it breathe here, and I can ask you guys. And I'll start with you. Positions. All right, leave quarterback out of it because we're going to get to that, and clearly that's the one everybody's looking at. And there's a new visitor that's coming we'll talk about. Any other positions where you're like, I'd like to see them do more? Are there any other holes you see in this roster where, I would have liked to have seen a or an X, and they didn't get it?
Well, I know where I'm going to go on this because we were talking a little bit off the air about Tristan Keys. You just lost an Oklahoma State product who then flipped to Baylor after only days that were here in the transfer portal, even though they might be limited. And we've talked on air, off air about how limited targets are for this wide receiver core. I'd like to see them be able to move that coaster over just to add a little bit more depth for Kelsey Pope's room. That's at least top of my list right now.
I would have liked to have seen a veteran receiver somewhere in there because I simply don't trust them to play freshmen. I don't know that you can get up to speed in this offense as a freshman. Maybe it's not that they don't like to play. Maybe it's just hard. Because typically what you've seen is the first guy, you either don't play or you drop a lot of balls. Yep. Second year, you look better. So I'm concerned. Receiver is exactly where I would go. Yep. I don't know a thing about Javen Gordon, the running back from Tulane. Yep. We were talking early about some of these hot shot names, good guys that we'd heard of. Guy who led college football in rushing last year was one of the. You didn't get those guys. So I don't know what you've got at the running back position. And if you are having to go with a young quarterback, I'd like to have as good a running game as you could get. So I would have liked to have seen a little more on offense, I guess is where I'm going, not just at quarterback. Before I'll let you finish up, Bob, what do you think? Are there positions here?
No, I mean, they got a long snapper, and I'm thinking, good, you're finished. But I would have liked to have seen another receiver. But even the transfer portal receivers take 2 years, seemingly, before you get up to speed in this offense. So I would have liked it. I actually would just I would like to see more linebackers. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more on linebacker depth. And, you've got offensive linemen. Running back, I feel good about your first two. Now, doesn't mean you're going to have two of them halfway through October, but I'm thinking defense is where I'd like to see even a little bit more.
Okay, this is good because we're going to get a fight. I'm going to jump ahead. We were going to talk about Arian Carter, who declared for the NFL, then said, no, I'm not going to the NFL. National writers come out, the scouting guys come out and say, no, he's not coming back to Tennessee. He'll go in the SEC, but he won't come to Tennessee. And I'm sitting there thinking, what's going on with Tennessee? What happened there? How did this go bad? Talk to you, and you're like, well, now there's a chance they could go after him and throw this money. They came back with a price tag. Now they may try and get him. Then you text me last night and said, I don't know about that. All right, so where are we with Arian Carter, and tell Bob why he's crazy to be wanting another linebacker?
Well, no. On Arian Carter, Tennessee did
Look him in the face. I want to fight. Okay.
Tennessee did make some attempts yesterday mostly. They kind of went back and forth throughout the day with Arian Carter and his representatives, and we're hoping to find a fit, try to make it work after he announced Friday he was planning to enter the transfer portal after withdrawing from the draft. And so now it looks like that's not going to work. It's not a fit. He's probably going elsewhere. It's a pretty high dollar tag that was going to come with that if Tennessee kept him. I personally think they would have been a little foolish to throw that much money at him because you just got a starter from Penn State who was their leading tackler this season. Edwin Spillman's a guy you expect to be a starter level player this year. Jeremiah Tielander's a rotational guy who started every game for you this year. He's somewhere in there. You got Jaden Prelati that everyone liked what they saw from this year. You got Jaden Harmon that you flipped from Alabama a year ago and you were excited about, didn't play much. Yeah. And you got two young guys that were top 100 prospects on their way as signees. You keep paying all these linebackers. I mean, some of them are not going to play.
And you're only playing two at a time.
You play two at a time. You're going to have some guys in the portal next year if you keep stacking them. So I think they're good there. It's just Arian Carter's a guy that if you could keep him, you don't want to lose a veteran.
We thought they were good there going into last year too, and they didn't look very good.
Yeah.
So I just, and all these guys you've gotten from Penn State, that's great. Yeah. Except their defense was good enough to get their coach fired after 3 games.
This is true.
So
yeah, I agree with you. You're giving a logical answer. I think Ryan's on paper, it's right.
Very fair.
I just look at it and go, but I've seen Arian Carter in this system.
Yes.
I'd like to have him back. I'd like to have somebody here who's been here before that we know what he can do. Now, they may look at it and say, yeah, we know what he does. It's not what we told him to do. We don't like it. I would look at it and say, I don't know about this kid from Penn State. I don't know about that kid. I know this kid. Let's bring him back. So I'm more in Bob's camp.
Edwin Spillman's a third-year player that you think is a big-time talent, though. He's got to play.
Well,
Jeremiah Teelander's a senior who's started 20-something games for you. He's got to play. I mean, that's three guys that play a lot of football.
Doesn't that tell you something that they weren't playing over Arian Carter?
I mean,
I'm not going to get into
started.
one
Spillman
kid,
started the
but
last
some
season.
of the kids you're naming didn't look very impressive to me last year.
Perlotti's got to grow, and Jaden Harmon wasn't on the field for a reason.
Wasn't one of the names I was thinking. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
I'd rather have Arian Carter in-house. He's more than a luxury. I think he's not just heated seats or a heated steering wheel. I think he is an accelerator. I think he's an engine. I think he's any other part. Carter, to me, is now the most important piece that you lost in the transfer portal, not Ricky Gibson, not Lance Hurd. I think AC was the biggest piece, and I think it'd be nice to have him back on a defense, which it seems like you're going to rely a whole heck of a lot on in 2026.
And the frustrating part now is you may end up playing against him. They've already had that with a few guys who've gone in the SEC.
Like Ricky
Chances are
Gibson
pretty
and
high.
Lance Hurd. Yeah.
You may end up at another SEC school
Yeah. All right.
or Miami.
Let's talk quarterbacks. When we come back, let's talk about George McIntyre and Faison Brandon. A lot of people pulling their hair out that, oh my goodness, this is awful. We don't have a quarterback. We're going to have to go with one of these former 5-stars. Let's talk about that. Tennessee's had some success with young quarterbacks in the past, even thin ones. Come back and we'll discuss. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. College football's national championship is tomorrow. NFL playoffs are underway. Super Bowl coming up. March Madness coming up. Folks, if you're watching sports, you want to be comfortable when you do it. That means you need new home theater seats from Games and Things. They have the best selection anywhere in town. Get out there and see them. Their showroom's fantastic. Drop by the showroom. You're going to be very impressed. I guarantee you'll spend an hour because you're going to walk around and look at everything they've got, and you'll try 100 different home theater seats. They got a great selection. OurGameRoom.com, if you want to check them out that way, you can do that as well. Games and Things. Okay, so it looks like redshirt freshman George McIntyre, very little experience, is going to be the likely starting quarterback next fall for Tennessee as it stands today. He'll have a true freshman 5-star behind him in Faison Brandon. I wouldn't expect Brandon to be the starter, but you never know down the road. Tennessee went 8-4 when Peyton Manning and Brandon Stewart were kind of your leaders back in 1994. I realize that's 30 years ago, but still. The Vols went 9-3 in the regular season with the freshmen Brent Schaefer, Eric Ainge, and Rick Clausen had to get in, the veteran, at the end because there were injuries to Schaefer and Ainge, and maybe that's part of the problem of playing the young guys or the thin guys. But 9-3 that year. UT went 10-3 and made the playoff with Nico Iamaleava, skinny as a rail, as a redshirt freshman with only one game experience in 2024. A lot of people are pulling their hair out, and I get it. You wanted a big portal. You're basically the only big school that didn't go into the portal and get a quarterback. When the music stopped, you were the only one left because Miami went out and tampered and got the Duke quarterback to go into the portal at the last minute. You're the only one that didn't get it, so I get the frustration. But I don't know that the cupboard's bare. And I get it. You don't want to go into a big season with this schedule, with a young quarterback without a lot of experience. But we've been there before, and we've seen examples when it's worked out okay. So, Chuck, superfan.
Yes, sir.
Did I convince you not to panic?
Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yes. I mean, I already was. I mean, I tried.
fell for that?
Well, I already was not going to panic because I tried to text GMAC last week. And
Oh, boy.
he was in Miami with Tennessee's receivers working out. I think that's a good sign. I mean, he's put on weight. That's the news flash, right? I mean, it is. It is over.
He's gone from 180 to 182.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now I'm hearing 6'6", 210, maybe even 215. So I mean, that's
a lot of
good
weight.
news.
He's tall. I mean, I will say that when you carry that much weight, it doesn't show sometimes.
I think you would be hard pressed to find two better first-year starters than these two guys. Potential first-year starters than these two.
He's getting up to 240 like Joey.
Yeah, really. And with him, he can carry it.
Yeah, there was-
Joey was always a little pudgy.
Yeah, we're laughing at a YouTube guy. All right, go ahead. What are your thoughts about McIntyre? I don't think it's the end of the world.
You know, it's the way football was.
Yeah.
And I didn't think, and you went over it on the show 2-3 weeks ago, that some of these guys just don't look like a good fit for this offense.
Yeah.
There were some guys that probably would have been. You didn't get them either, obviously. But I just think it's kind of like, okay, let's go ahead and play our young quarterback. You know, and I thought where Tennessee, I think, held itself back potentially next year was you should have played McIntyre ahead of Merklinger, I thought.
Yep.
Obviously, Tennessee thought the same thing, hence Merklinger's gone. And I also thought that you had opportunities last year to get both of your backup quarterbacks a little bit more playing time. So that said, I'm okay with it.
Not a strength of Heupel's getting his quarterbacks ready a year early.
Correct.
That is not. It's basically they've got to
But
get in.
he is outside of the one game. He's coming in with the Nico experience. So
Yeah, but I
he
mean,
rolled the dice with it before.
I just go back. Heupel. We said that when it was
Yes.
Nico. It's like you gave him the bowl game. I think they should have given McIntyre the bowl game this year instead of Aguilar, and especially after you lost. But I said that beforehand. The problem is they typically, if you don't get in against their East Tennessee State, their FCS foe, and then their really bottom of the FBS foe, you're not going to get much experience. It doesn't matter what the blowout is.
Well, I think the two he played, correct me if I'm wrong, what I had down was New Mexico State, East Tennessee State.
The duds.
So, I mean, yeah, those the two
absolute
games,
duds.
7 and 9, complete, 69 yards.
Yeah.
Thoughts on going into the season with McIntyre and Brandon as your top two guys? And we know they're bringing somebody else in.
Yeah.
It's unlikely they're going to sign somebody who's going to be the automatic starter.
Yeah.
Maybe they can compete and steal it. Maybe the young guys aren't ready and they blow it and it goes to the older guy. But right now it looks like they're bringing in depth, camp arms, veterans. So how do you feel about this?
I'm probably in the minority on this. I was convinced Tennessee probably should go down this road even if they could bring Joey Aguilar back. My thought is George McIntyre is going to be ready, I think, by next season. This is what you signed him to do.
Yeah.
I think before the whole Joey Aguilar situation emerged and the possibility of him returning, people thought this was going to be George McIntyre's year.
They thought Nico would be turning pro.
Yeah, right. And so this was supposed to be George McIntyre's team. What changed is you went 8-5, and that changed the stakes maybe for 2026. And so now there's more concern about relying on a young guy this year. But I think George McIntyre's fine. What we heard about him during August suggested he was showing flashes of real potential even then.
And that little bitty tiny bit that you saw during the season did not make me go, this kid can't play. Whereas with Merklinger, I thought he struggled.
Now what I think you lose that you could have gotten with a Sam Levitt is the running ability. I think you could have gotten a more dynamic runner in the portal that might have given your offense another element. George McIntyre is a sneaky good athlete, but I don't think he's going to run for 600 yards. So you lose that a little bit, but I think he's a great thrower, and I think he's got a chance to be a really good quarterback at Tennessee. It's just a matter of whether he's ready.
And just in the time since we started this segment, he's now up to 6'8", 270 pounds. Okay, very good. When we come back.
And moving the offensive line.
That's right. And we talked about bringing all those offensive linemen earlier.
Yeah.
You're going to have young quarterbacks? I love that. Bringing it, build the depth on the offensive line. Okay, when we come back, the Vols have a quarterback visitor coming to town. We've been teasing it all day, and it's going to be a bit of a disappointment for you when we get it in there. We'll talk about Ryan Staub next. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Hearthside Bank. Do you have a personal relationship with your bank? Meaning, do they know your name when you walk in there? They care about you. They know they know what your goals are. They know what you want to do financially, and they work with you step by step by step to make sure you hit those goals. Hearthside Bank does that. Hearthside Bank with locations all over Southeast Kentucky and East Tennessee. Probably got some Kentucky fans tuning in today to see how we processed that basketball loss earlier in the show. Folks there in Middlesboro, that's where I grew up. That's where Hearthside is based. They've been doing this for 105 years. HearthsideBank.com, always within reach. Member FDIC. I always like saying that. Okay, let's take a look at our poll results. I forgot to remind everybody, but there we go. Why is Tennessee not cheating like other schools? 23% say because Danny White won't let them. And it looks like about, 10%?
Yes.
Say because Heupel doesn't want to, and the majority, 67%, say because they're on probation. Yeah. 67% of you are correct. If they weren't on probation, I think they'd be doing what everybody else is doing, which is that's what you do. All right, let's take a look. Tennessee has a visitor coming in, Ryan Staub. He's been at Colorado. Didn't play a lot. He did have one start for the Buffaloes. He was backing up Shedeur Sanders for one of those years, or I guess two of those years. 6'1", 200 pounds. Staub will be a redshirt sophomore, meaning he's got 2 years of eligibility. He was a 3-star prospect coming out of California. Ryan, this looks to me as somebody who could compete, somebody who's a depth piece, veteran in the room, doesn't look like somebody that anyone should be anticipating is going to be the starter over McIntyre or Brandon unless something goes haywire.
Yeah.
My read on that correct?
I think so. I mean, this is a guy who's leaving Colorado because they've got a former top prospect, Julian Lewis, who's expected to be the starter that played pretty well late in the season. So he's looking for a chance to compete. And probably even coming into a situation like this, if he decides to go to Tennessee, would not be expecting to be the starter, but would be thinking, okay, I've got a shot against a couple of young guys. So, yeah, you're probably talking about a guy who realistically is more likely to be depth, but maybe has a chance to play and can give you a fallback option in a pinch, but otherwise you're not looking at a likely day one starter, and so fans aren't, naturally I think the initial reaction to this was not a whole lot of excitement because everyone's been thinking starter, but the problem is I think Tennessee's gone into this whole process thinking we're only going to get a guy from the portal who's a proven starter if it's a clear upgrade from Joey Aguilar, and there's only a few guys out there that fit that description.
Clearly, they only went after Sam Levitt, Ty Simpson, and Bo Prabula in terms of what leaked out there. Were there any other names that they really attacked?
And obviously Sorsby.
Sorsby,
Tech. So but that's it. They didn't really go outside of that, and I think their read on that is probably right. Like we're seeing with George McIntyre, and you got Faison Brandon too. Why bury those guys with someone who might not be better?
Let me ask you guys this. Let's go into video game world here for a second. Fantasy world, if you will. There are other guys out there that would be, there's reasons not to go there. It's a longer shot, but they've got just video game stats. Western Carolina has a kid everybody's looking at named Taron Dickens. The problem is he's 5'11". That's what he's listed. Now, in Chuck's media guide, he's 6'3". But he's 5'11", which means he's probably more like 5'8". They always, 180 pounds. But last year he threw for 3,600 yards, 38 touchdowns against 2 interceptions. Now, I don't know what systems he's in. He's small, but that's got to be some talent, okay? You also have a guy at Indianapolis, University of Indianapolis, if you want to go the FCS route, which is where Lane Kiffin found Trinidad Chambliss. A guy named Gavin Suckup, who had 3,700 yards passing last year, 41 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. And he's 6'1", I don't know, 188, I think I read. So you could go with what they seem to be doing, which is camp arm, kind of compete veteran from the FBS. Or you could roll in bones and see if you find something. What are you guys doing? Because that would probably excite the fan base more. And it's always smart for the coaches to build their roster based on media and fans.
Yeah, you want to win the press conference or the press release of the transfer. That should be priority number one. I would be interested in the FCS or the lower level route with the upside that I think could be there. Dickens as an example. Maybe it's him, maybe it's not. But somebody that could be more competitive potentially because Chambliss fit that profile. Nobody, Lane Kiffin included, expected him to do what he did this season. But he had been great at Ferris State last year, leading them to a championship. Nobody should expect Staub to come in and do something like that. He would be somebody in an emergency situation most likely, and it would be a real emergency if he's out there on the field. So I would lean the route of the lesser known at the FCS level, but with the high upside that could potentially create some competition with young, talented, inexperienced quarterbacks in George McIntyre and Faison Brandon.
Chuck, what would you do?
I tell you what, I kind of like the route they're going. The Ryan Staub, doesn't he sound a little bit like Gaston Moore in a way? Isn't that what you're looking for? The gas pipe? Somebody that if you put him in, I mean, he shows flashes. The Western Carolina, the size. I mean, if your staff
Staub's not a big guy. He's listed
6'1".
He's not going to wow you when he steps on the field.
Right.
Physically.
But you got to know who you've got a chance to get and what it's going to cost. To me,
I'd be more intrigued by the FCS upside. I mean, Dickens
or the D2 guy.
Yeah, I watched Dickens' film. He doesn't have the strongest arm, and he's not the biggest guy. But
then that's a problem.
But he's got
in this offense.
Yeah, but he's got good touch on deep balls though. Like he just doesn't. The velocity's not there as much a lot of times. So I don't know. I'd be intrigued by a guy like that. The 2 interceptions and all that. I mean,
well, if he's got touch on the deep ball, we saw what the deep ball in this offense looked like when you've just got a cannon. With no touch, and that wasn't good.
And to your point on Gaston Moore, he came in and threw an interception in the first plays in the game against Alabama. So I don't know if I really want a guy like that. And this guy threw 4 picks at Colorado in limited playing time this year. I don't know that I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Bob, what would you do? You like what they're doing? Get the veteran from the bigger level?
Chuck answered your question. I'll Cavaliers the question. I really could just go either way on this. I'm intrigued by getting that smaller school guy who has huge numbers, but at the same time, at least the guy from Colorado has played in games similar to what he will see in the SEC. So there you go.
So $5 on
Yeah.
Bob's check this week.
Hey, and who else is interested in these guys, the Western Carolina?
Yeah.
If he's such a hot commodity,
That's true.
who else is beating down his door?
Well, we're not an agent. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I don't know who's beating down Ryan Staub's door. Your guy. So there's that.
You know, Jerry Mack had a pretty intriguing quarterback down at Kennesaw State that Tennessee apparently didn't kick the tires on.
I beat that drum right here.
Yeah.
I put up the numbers. I showed he was the number one deep ball thrower.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he wound up at Syracuse where he will compete
Right.
with Steve Angeli. He's okay competing at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Do you not think you could have gotten him in here to compete? He could run, and he's got the best deep ball out there.
I would have thought a little more outside the box than Tennessee has in this situation. But and I think they were a little late in pivoting to the backup plan type options too.
There you go.
Just remember these two names next year. And if they suck,
Forget
I
it.
never said a thing.
Well,
But
do
if
like you
Amari
did-
Odom at Syracuse and Caden Hauser at Illinois look good, you saw him on the Sports Source about 3 weeks ago,
I was
right?
about to say, do like you did with Nico this year. Every week you can
Do a
update.
tracer. All right. Because I don't know, they haven't offered me. I mean, I've got an Excel sheet and the stats. Why Tennessee doesn't trust me to scout for them, I don't know. When we come back, the latest on, I started to say on Arion Carter. We already did that one, so we're just going to talk about the guys who've left. Let's take a look at who's left, where they've gone. That's next. And then we've still got a question about a VFL and whether Tennessee should have hired him before Oklahoma got the chance. Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Crazy world out there. Everybody needs a security system these days, and if you're going to get one, get the best. Whether that's you're looking for your business, you're looking for your home, you're looking for gate security, gate access, you're looking for camera systems, you got it all through Safety Systems. Give VFL JJ Surlis and his team a call this week, or visit safetysystems.com, or visit and then call JJ. That's the way to work. All right, take a look here. We're going to run through this very quickly. Vols no more. These are the guys who've left. Lance Hurd, you knew about, to Kentucky. Ricky Gibson to Texas A&M. Arion Carter, still a question mark as Ryan laid out earlier. Jordan Ross goes to LSU and Lane Kiffin. Boo Carter to Colorado, which was always the rumor from the season. Jack Van Dorselaer goes to Oklahoma. They looked at him, they said, kid, on that fourth down, the way you dropped that one off your face mask, we want you. So he has gone to Oklahoma to take his pass-catching skills. Watch him be an All-American. Amari Jefferson, a wide receiver that everybody here was dancing the aisles about when Tennessee got him from Alabama. Nobody's signing him yet. He's still out there? Okay.
Still out there.
Emmanuel Okoye, another guy that we all went, oh, we got him. And he never stepped on the field. He's gone to California. Tyler, do you have a comment there?
You make that joke about Van Dorselaer being an All-American. Jason Witten's going to put that magic on him, and it's going to be double whammy here in Knoxville.
Okay. All right, we jumped ahead. We'll get to Jason Witten in a second. Caleb Herring has gone to South Carolina. William Satterwhite also went to LSU. Bennett Warren to Minnesota. Peyton Lewis to Virginia. Jake Merklinger signs with UConn. Max Anderson to Kentucky. Jaden Lofton to Wisconsin. Brendan Ains, I really hope that's pronounced Ains, goes to Western Michigan. Next, Jamal Wallace. I've been waiting to make that joke all day. Jamal Wallace to Utah. Then you got a lot of guys who are still out there, to my knowledge. Josh Shell went to UCF. Tommy Winton went to ETSU. Brian Grant, still questionable. And Max Gilbert, guaranteed to hit the game-winning field goal against the Vols at Arkansas next year. That would just be some 55-yarder. He'll nail that. Be the better luck. All right, those are all the guys who are gone. How worried are you? We got actually, I don't have any minutes. So tell me, are you freaked out by that, or do you feel it's a wash in the portal? Is it up, down, or wash?
I'm going to give it wash.
Okay.
But I really would like to see Ricky Gibson and Carter come back.
Okay.
That's my
Arion
big
Carter.
ones. Yeah.
Up, down, or wash? Better or worse?
I mean, I like what they've done at the Leo position. They've got a couple edges that I think replace Caleb Herring
Better
and Jordan
or
Ross
worse?
nicely. But at some other positions, I think there's a little bit of a downgrade. I think you lose a little bit on the offensive line without Lance Hurd. I think in the secondary.
Okay, let's move on. Worse.
You're not replacing the corners well.
I do think it's a wash. But it stands out this year more than we've seen the last couple of years. A lot of guys went to big programs. Tennessee upgraded the last couple of years, I think, clearly through the transfer portal. This year, I can't say that as strongly.
All right, very good. Thank you, guys. It was long answers to better or worse. Appreciate it. When we come back, Tyler, I'll see you on. You nailed it, which is why I'll talk to you tomorrow on radio at 3:30 on 99.1 The Sports Animal. When we come back, let's talk about Jason Witten. He brought him up. Now you don't get. That's why you brought him up, so you can throw it out there. Jason Witten. Should the Vols have hired him? Come on back. Welcome back to the Sports Source. Appreciate you watching us today. I'm going to get this out of the way. Thanks to you for watching. And also thanks to our crew here. Always do a great job. Director, audio, the floor crew. Everybody does a great job here. I appreciate that. And thanks to you guys for being here. Now that I got your crap out of the way. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff, to the Sports Source Digital Network. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we put up a thing this week about the quarterback situation. It got into the NCAA stuff before Danny White ever referenced it. We had that kind of stuff on our channel. Check it out. And that's new information all week. We also do the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. You don't have to subscribe. It's right here at 11 a.m. every Saturday. That's Jimmy Himes, that's John Wilkerson, that's Ryan Callahan most weeks, Buzz Peterson there. We do that on Saturdays 11, and then, of course, here we are on Sundays 11. Thank you for supporting all the stuff we do. All right. The Oklahoma Sooners have hired a new tight ends coach, and that coach happens to have a son who is a nice prospect, and that guy is VFL Jason Whitten. Chuck, you're the one that texted me. He's a former Cowboy. He's a former Vol.
Yeah.
You wanted him, didn't you?
Yes, I mean, I did. The problem is there wasn't a spot on the staff, right? I mean, your tight end coach at Tennessee's been with Heupel, 3 different stops. So, I mean, you didn't really have the spot on the staff, but, boy, it would have been nice if you could have worked something out. Cooper Whitten, guys, is going to be one of the top prospects in the class of 2027, 6'1", 210. I measured it. 5-star linebacker. 5-star linebacker. Yeah. So, and I heard, Ryan, you had heard something different. Oklahoma, one reason signed Jason Whitten was because they thought his son, Cooper, might go to Texas. And that's what the word was. So, yeah, I wish Tennessee could have. I really do.
I wouldn't hire a first-time coach so I could get his son who's a prospect. That's not what I would do. But the other thing is, and you knew we were going to debate this one because I've said this for years. Why do fans want to hire VFLs? I don't understand it. Everyone you hire, you fire. And no one cries about it. Oh, yeah, Chuck Smith stunk. Oh, yeah, Terry Fair, don't care. Get rid of him. Philip Fulmer, Randy Sanders, John Chavis. Get Third and Chavis. Majors, Fulmer, all of them. Get rid of all of them. But we got to hire the next one. I don't understand it. Stop it. Go hire the best guy. And to me, the best guy isn't a high school coach who's never coached at the college level. So
well, I mean, he's played pretty well in the NFL.
Yeah, he played pretty well in the NFL.
And I think he knows the position. Well, and he can recruit Dallas. He can get more players.
He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, correct?
Correct.
In the NFL?
Correct.
Those guys usually don't make great coaches.
I was going to say, Michael Jordan, great player, not a great
coach.
Basketball.
You better be glad Buzz isn't there today.
If you look, great players typically do not make great coaches. And I also would not bring in a guy just to try to get his kid.
But that's not just it. He's also going to be recruiting the Dallas area.
What is it that makes you? But if he weren't a former Vol, if he were a former Kentucky Wildcat, you wouldn't be.
Don't want him. Don't even
that's
want
right.
him.
See, that's
he's
good.
Also,
but
he's
you
also
know,
been gone long enough now that the
thought.
kids in
What's
Dallas.
Josh Heupel's been on the other side of this. He's been the legend at Oklahoma, and he saw what happened when he got run out of town. He saw that Bob Stoops got blamed for that. Why would I want to put myself in that situation? If I have to fire Jason Whitten, I'm the jerk. Why even deal with that?
Well, I wonder what my good friend Josh Ward would do.
Well, I'd like to commend Jason Whitten on his time with the Raiders as well.
Not happy to produce anymore. Now he's hosting as well.
Yeah. I think Alec Abelin has done a fine job. So I definitely would not have fired Abelin to go get Jason Whitten. It makes sense for OU more than I think it makes sense for Tennessee.
I don't even know why you have a tight ends coach. I mean, you don't use them. You don't use them. I mean, great. They're blockers. All right, so can you not roll the offensive line coach over there for a week and just do a little something?
Here's the other thing. If you really want to hire him, there's another coaching carousel in December. You can hire him and get his son in time for signing day.
That's right.
Still works out.
Well, there you go. And you've already seen once he makes Jack Van Dorselaer an All-American, you bring them both back.
Or the transfer portal in 2 years. There's plenty of time.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's another reason I wouldn't go get a guy whose son is a prospect because sons can transfer. And you may say, well, he would never leave his dad.
Well.
In this day and age, I think if somebody else is offering you more money, I think the dad would say, you got to do it, go.
Yeah, Raiola's a big legacy at Nebraska, and he's going to Oregon now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not buying it. Sorry, Chuck. You lose. Big loser.
Well, I did good in the first 2 seconds.
You were excellent today. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate you. Hey, I want to wish best wishes and recovering health to my Uncle Bob Lewis. Thinking of you today. See y'all next week.